A new season of The Curse of Oak Island premiered earlier this month, putting the Lagina brothers back in the spotlight as they search for treasure on Nova Scotia's Oak Island. Still missing from the cast, though, was Dave Blankenship. Dave and his father, Dan Blankenship, were part of Oak Island for its first 6 seasons. Dan spent 50 years excavating Oak Island and looking for treasure before his death in 2019. But following that loss, Dave stepped away from the show himself. Scroll down for everything we know about Dave's exit from The Curse of Oak Island. Dave's exit from the show was never addressed. However, in an interview with the Oak Island Compendium, he said, "When the movie TV crew went from the Restall family to the Laginas and left my dad's 50 years out, I quit. But they wanted me to retire instead, and we did a drilling down as my last show." He later reiterated that he felt like the show slighted his father, adding, "They left Dad's 50 years out, and if it wasn't for him, David, Tobias, would have quit looking, as Dad became the man in the field for David." A screenshot of an alleged Facebook comment made by Dave about his reason for leaving has also made the rounds online. In the alleged comment, he wrote, "I have quit the show when they left 50 years out of my dad and went Restall to Laginas. That night I quit, and they will not say anything about me." At the time of the 2023 interview, Dave said he had not spoken to the Laginas in 2 years. In 1986, Dave was involved in an accident that left him partially paralyzed and somewhat disabled on one side. He opened up about the construction accident on The Curse of Oak Island, per Mysteries of Canada. Dave was working on a job site while a 5-ton air compressor was being unloaded from a tractor-trailer with a crane. Part of the crane snapped off, and the cable hit Dave behind the knees, tossing him into the cab of the crane. He fell through the windshield, and the strap of his construction helmet pinched his carotid artery, which led to a stroke. He was briefly in a coma but survived. "The doctors told Mom and Dad that I was going to be a vegetable and never get out of bed again. They forgot to tell me," Dave recalled. He was unable to walk, talk, and perform basic functions, but eventually regained control of most of his body. Nerve damage has left his left side numb to this day, but it hasn't stopped him from working hard. Dave does not have a social media presence, so it's unclear what he's up to today. In his interview with the Oak Island Compendium, he revealed that he and his wife, Garnett, plan to stay on Oak Island. "My house is paid for. I see no reason to sell it," he shared. "I may buy a house on the mainland and rent this one out for the summers." For years, Dave Blankenship was a familiar figure on The Curse of Oak Island, a rugged, steadfast presence whose booming laughter and unwavering determination meshed perfectly with the island's atmosphere of legend and danger. As a longtime resident of Oak Island, a friend to the Lagina brothers, and the son of the late treasure hunter Dan Blankenship, Dave seemed woven into the very fabric of the show. Yet, as the seasons unfolded, fans noticed a shift. Dave appeared less frequently, and eventually not at all. His absence became one of the major off-screen mysteries surrounding the series. Speculation swirled, theories multiplied, and the question grew louder. What really happened to Dave Blankenship? The real story is a blend of personal history, old wounds, and the unique life Dave has carved out in the shadow of his father's legacy. And like the island's own buried secrets, it is a tale shaped by resilience, tragedy, and the complex pull of destiny. A legacy forged in determination long before cameras captured every turn of a drill bit and every muddy shovel of earth. The Blankenship name had already become synonymous with Oak Island. Dan Blankenship dedicated more than half a century to the treasure hunt, giving the pursuit a seriousness and intensity unmatched by any previous searcher. Growing up under the orbit of such a powerful figure, shaped Dave in profound ways. While many men might buckle under the expectations of a legendary father, Dave found purpose in joining the mission. His path wasn't glamorous. It was filled with grueling work, storms along the South Shore, and daily battles with malfunctioning machinery. But Dave thrived under the weight of that work. Known for his broad smile and tough-as-nails attitude, he developed a reputation for being both the muscle and the heart of the Oak Island operation. Fans of the series quickly recognized his authenticity. He felt less like a reality star and more like someone simply living his life while cameras happened to be rolling. A traumatic injury that changed everything years before The Curse of Oak Island ever premiered. Dave suffered a life-altering accident that would ultimately shake the course of his future. While working construction on the mainland, he fell several stories, an event so devastating that it left him with long-term mobility issues, partial nerve damage, and lasting physical limitations. The accident could have ended his involvement in treasure hunting altogether. But Dave pushed forward, adapting to new limitations with a mixture of stubbornness and grit. He continued helping his father on Oak Island. He refused to let pain dictate his days, and viewers of the show often saw him carrying on, climbing machinery, hauling equipment, moving with a rhythm that mixed strength with caution, but that injury never fully disappeared. It lingered beneath the surface like the hidden flood tunnels of the island itself, and when Dave began to appear less often on screen, fans suspected the old wounds were resurfacing. Navigating the demands of the show The Curse of Oak Island is not a passive production. It demands long days in the field, early morning shoots, physically strenuous dig sites, and constant travel between activity hubs on the island. As the seasons progressed, operations grew more ambitious. Machinery became larger, excavations stretched deeper, and the demands, physical, logistical, and emotional, climbed to a new level. For someone with a decades-old traumatic injury, the strain of such an environment can accumulate quietly at first, then suddenly sharply. Fans who watched closely noticed changes. Dave moved more cautiously, stepped away more often, and seemed increasingly selective about when he participated. The island was his home, but the operations no longer aligned with what his body could withstand. The emotional toll of a changing island there was another layer to Dave's retreat from the show. The emotional landscape shifted dramatically after the passing of his father, Dan Blankenship. Dan's presence had anchored the island for decades. He was not just a historical figure in the treasure hunt. He was a lighthouse for the entire operation. His unwavering belief infused the search with meaning, discipline, and urgency. When Dan's health declined, and he eventually passed, a chapter closed, not just for the island, but for Dave. His father's absence altered the spirit of the hunt. The island's energy changed, and so did Dave's place within it. Though he continued contributing to the show after Dan's passing, the weight of carrying his father's legacy alone became more visible. The treasure hunt had once been a father and son crusade. Now it felt like a responsibility Dave wasn't sure he wanted to hold in the same way. Stepping back from this spotlight, what truly signaled Dave's departure from The Curse of Oak Island was a shift that many viewers didn't notice immediately. His time on camera decreased. Group strategy meetings often unfolded without him. Major discoveries happened without his signature reaction. By the time he fully stepped away, there was no dramatic farewell or emotional ceremony. His exit was subtle, quiet, reflective, and in keeping with the way Dave had always carried himself. Behind the scenes, the decision appears to have been shaped by multiple factors. His old injury increasingly interfered with the grueling physical nature of the show's fast-paced production schedule, clashed with his need for a quieter, more controlled rhythm. The emotional weight of carrying on without his father became more complicated and, practical life considerations, privacy, comfort, and health, became more important rather than push himself past the point of safety or well-being. Dave chose to prioritize his own life and stability. The decision was not dramatic, but it was deeply personal. Life after Oak Island. After leaving the show, Dave remained on Oak Island, at least for a time. The island was his home, and stepping away from the cameras did not mean abandoning his connection to the land his father devoted his life to. Those who knew him described a man focused more on peace and less on public attention. He pursued the routines he enjoyed. He maintained friendships with many of the team members he had worked with for years. He continued participating in the island's upkeep in smaller, manageable ways. Life slowed into something healthier, more balanced, and more aligned with what he needed physically and emotionally. Addressing rumors and fan speculation because his exit happened without a lengthy explanation on the show, fans grew curious, and in some cases, worried.